Hi, hello, hola. Welcome and bienvenidos to the Women in Science Open Mic series. My name is Laura Garza and I'll be your host of this series brought by the Permanent Forum of Binational Waters. Together, we'll have a dialogue with amazing women to give them a platform to share about their accomplishments, obstacles, research findings, and the overall experience of being a woman in science. So today I'm glad that we're having the kickoff of the Open Mic Women in Science with the founder and director of the Permanent Forum of Binational Waters, Rosario Sanchez. Welcome, Rosario.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you for picking me.
So
I'm very happy to be here.
so in behalf of all the women in science, thank you so much for providing this space and this channel. I'm sure it will be a great opportunity for young women and leaders to share their knowledge. So thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome. It's all for us.
Okay, so March is here. Who would say it's a year after COVID arrived to our lives? It's crazy, no? But another important aspect of March is that we celebrate the Women's History Month. And so this month is an opportunity to celebrate women that have made an impact on the history, culture, and society. And it's also an opportunity to recognize the efforts of all of those who have changed the status quo and didn't back down. And so in this month, the theme of the Women's History Month is called Valiant Women of the Vote, Refusing to be Silenced. And it is a powerful statement, no, refusing to be silent. So in the lines of embracing that statement, um, I would like to ask you as a Mexican woman living in the United States and working towards bridging Mexico and the US into this amazing program, what can you tell us about the importance of recognizing the voice of women in science?
Well, it's important in the sense that we need to recognize all voices. So it's not just about women. I think the challenges that we have today require us to listen every voice,
Mhm.
not just women, not just men, not just older, not just young. Um, we need to be multicultural. We need to be multitasking, of course, but we also need to be inclusive of all the differences, all the opinions, all the perspectives, because they all valuable and they all can help. We don't know, you don't know, and nobody can actually guarantee which idea will be helpful on a certain specific problem. And when you're thinking about the border
Mhm.
between US and Mexico, it's a very challenging, complex, unique border in the world. The border is the fifth economy of the world. It's strongly culturally linked that actually neither southern Mexico or northern US understands that level of linkages. And it's a country on its own. And it's only understood by its own too. So when you have those kind of challenges and when you think about water, adding the element of water there, the complexity of the physical, the science, the policy, the management,
Mhm.
you need every voice you can get, right? You just can't say, no, we don't need that, or no, that's not important, or that's another priority. You need to listen because we are struggling. The challenges that we have today are getting beyond our capacity, institutional capacity, made of whatever you want to. I mean, men, women, children, older, younger, whatever it is. It has gone beyond that. So we cannot nobody can be silenced at this point. And and if we think about women, we have the responsibility, not just fight for the opportunity, but also we need to force ourselves to be responsible of the decision-making process out there. And if we don't like something, we need to say it. And if we have an idea, we need to say it. And if we And if we have something that we think it could be helpful, we need to look for it, and we need to fight for it too. I don't think um, um, any idea coming from anyone, it's easy to be followed or to be listened to. Um,
So do you
but
think sorry, so do you think
no, go ahead.
the permanent forum of binational waters have, what do you think it has done to increase the voice of everyone? Not just the science voice, but also the women's voice, the young voice. What are the main um, tools that the permanent forum has done towards that?
Yes, we have spaces, we have initiatives like this one that you're leading, the Woman in Science, that arise precisely on a moment that we recognize that we need this space. I mean, there are women out there, young or old women, whatever, doing science that we need to highlight out here.
Mhm.
And we have young professionals, women or men, doing important research that we need to highlight. And that's what the forum is for. So we have the Woman in Science, we have the open mic, we have the water science talks that is made for those young professionals that are developing research that could be useful right now.
Mhm.
And this should be highlighted and should be accessible to the public. So that's we recognize that because the forum was originally formed, sorry, and made of that diversity that we're talking about.
Mm.
Young, old, and I'm the oldest, though I don't want to, but I'm the oldest. Uh, young, old, women, men, whatever, we don't care as long as they have ideas, as long as they have abilities to make difference and to have different perspectives. Whatever is helpful is welcome. So that's one of the values of the forum, and that's what we're, that's our big flag out there.
Yeah, I think it's a great initiative bringing young talent into the forum. Myself as being a young scientist in the making, having this opportunity to talk about my research in a binational context is super, super valuable. Um, most of young scientists or researchers out there probably won't have the resources to travel to an international conference or to even have the opportunity to speak in public, you know. And so again, this is such a great initiative um, of the binational forums to bridge these two countries and bridging young talent with more um, wise researchers out there or like older, more experienced researchers. I think this is a great mixture that the forum is making, and I'm really glad that you guys are also putting out there these spaces for women. You know, you mentioned the open mic, this initiative, but also the science talks or the putting women leaders into discussion topics. That's very, very, uh, that's great for, you know, the young generation to see that experienced researchers are doing the effort to bring all the voices into the table.
Yes. And we need to set the example and because it's working. I mean, it's been successful because of that, because of the inclusion of different voices, all of them valuable. So we celebrate this month, the Women Month, but I would add the inclusion month,
Yeah, for
not just
sure.
women, but everyone. We need everyone.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. Okay, now switching gears a little bit, or I mean, now I know that you started working on the permanent forum towards the end of 2019. And actually, the last week, the Journal of Science published an article about the challenges of women in academia during the COVID-19 pandemic. So if we go back a year ago, the pandemic was officially declared in March 2020, right? So in this article, it says that 6 months after, the COVID-19 childcare crisis led to women leaving the US workforce at nearly 4 times the rate as men. So in March, you were already thinking about launching the binational forums in the next 2 months, right? So what was your experience balancing parenthood, your research, pushing the launching of this forum, making all switching all the gears and tools to make this happen? So tell us a little bit about what was happening backstage.
You really don't want to know. Nobody needs to know or wants to know what happened backstage. It was well, let me tell you something. I mean, the change was so radical for everyone. The level of stress was so high for everyone, for the communities, for the countries, at the national level, at every level that you can think of,
Mhm.
family level to institutional level. So the forum for me personally was kind of an opportunity in that moment. I saw it as, okay, we were thinking about doing this anyway, and then the pandemic hit us, and then it was like escape from
Okay.
from the crisis.
Okay.
And it was just, okay, let's focus on getting this done, because this is going to be virtual anyway. So we might found um, an area of opportunity, given that everything was virtual. Everything was switching to virtual, and we were thinking about doing that anyways. So I don't want to say it was a perfect time, because the pandemic is not perfect at any time,
Mhm.
and I don't want to say it that way, but I think we were able to find an opportunity to to set the forum towards this objective, and be able to launch and do it virtually, more successfully, like in comparison if we were planning to do an in-person kind of conferences. So that forced us to 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 plan and to arrange the platform in a way that we knew that we don't know when are we going to be meeting in person again. So that kind of set us the worst case scenario for us to work towards that, if you want to put it that way. So that's the optimistic part of it, right? The nice part of it, the kind of the smart, if you want to call it the smart way of me focusing my energy towards
It's
that.
it sounded like you took the negative aspect of the pandemic and you adapted and transformed the forum into something that could reach more people because now it's everything it's online. So yeah, as you were
Exactly.
saying, I remember there was this conference on groundwater
Yep.
that was pushed, but then at the end it was canceled, and then I think it was done virtually.
Online. It was done virtually, very
So
successfully.
so that was a real
And
success. And yeah, I mean, at the end, you're reaching more people out there. It was great to see how the resilience, of this project, how you adapted and all the team adapted and transformed it into this amazing project. So that was the
yes,
good thing, right?
that was a good thing out of the very bad things that were going out there. Now,
The
talking
real.
about what was happening behind my screen, my computer, and the days, the most important role that I have in in my life, and I don't think I speak only for myself, is the role of mother. I am a mother first and forever. And the first thing in my life are my children. And if I have the time to work, of course, and do something for my environment, for my people, for the communities, for to set the example to my children, then I do it. But during the pandemic, I had to say it. I used to work at night. I had to work at night when they were sleeping because there was no other way of doing it. And I'm sure millions of women did that. Those women that lost their jobs, I was lucky not to lose it because we were able to be equally productive at home, but nobody knew that I was working actually at night. So because I decided that, right? I mean, I wanted to be mother during where my kids are awake, right? And we can't do both things at the same time. And they were here and they are still here. Um, and they're small children. It's not like, they take care of them. They can take care of themselves. So I don't regret that. I actually value that more uh, on myself and of any other woman that I know that do the same. And if there's a meeting during the day, I just talk to my husband or talk to my mom, which I was lucky enough to have her around for a couple of months, or just, hide my children somewhere in the closet for half an hour and be quiet and stay there, and that's I'm sure that's familiar to millions of women. So, but I don't regret it. Uh, I don't, that's my first role, but I do have the discipline of my work and the responsibility as a citizen, not as a woman, as a citizen of doing something to make the world better, right? And those are big words, but we always can do something on our limited time and balancing our roles out there. But I don't regret it, and if the pandemic continues, which I hope it doesn't, we'll keep doing it that way because that's the only way. Really, I mean, I didn't decide it to be women. That was given by nature, and I respect nature. That's the first thing that we need to respect, and therefore I respect the role of a mother first and above everything. And then the rest, it's gonna come because that's the way nature works, right? If you do things right in your role as part of the nature, then everything will come. And I believe truly in that. So if you do good, if you raise good children, the rest is just good things.
That sounds
Should
so
be good
beautiful.
things.
So
Don't
beautiful.
cry. Don't cry.
No, honestly. But it sounds like you were a superwoman. I mean, you are a superwoman, like balancing the kids in like all day. Probably you were teaching some aspects or like helping them in their homeworks or
Yeah,
tasks, chores,
exactly.
but then and then switching gears, no? Like at night when everything was peaceful, then you were doing research and working with your, I don't know how many projects you have right now, but I bet a lot.
Lots,
I
lots.
bet a lot.
We always have to. I mean, but you always gonna have I mean, I gave up on that. You're always going to be busy. So I said, okay, I'm always going to be busy. I'm always going to have many things to do. I'm always going to have my children. So just organize yourself and plan for it. Now, let me tell you something that my mom told me when I was single and I didn't have children. And I was looking at my sister. She has 4 kids and she became widow. Uh, so and she was doing all multiple things at the same time. And I was kind of, how does she do it? And my mom said, well, you need to be a mother and you get that strength to do it. So it's true. After I
Wow.
became a mother and you just don't have the option, right? So your body mentally and physically accommodates, and that's nature, really. That's nature.
Adapting and
Your body becomes so strong. Of course, you're dead by the end of the week, uh, but you during the week at least you have the strength and the passion to move forward because of love of your children and the passion for your work, which is what I think are the key on my case, at least, to survive and to be able to do it. But you really need to be a mother to understand that and to have that strength. And I do have it now. So I think, I
Well,
hope.
that no, of course, that was great. Thank you for sharing that very personal experience that you had during the pandemic. It makes us viewers more sensible towards women that are mothers, but that they're also working and having a lot of projects and putting their selves aside and putting their kids in the front line, and then work in the front line. It sounds very, very impressive, of course. So thank you again, Rosario. That was
You.
that was great.
Thank you. You should be able to do it too.
I will in the future.
You you will do it too. Don't worry.
I
You're
will
gonna
do
be
it.
safe.
I'll do it in the future probably. Okay,
Yay,
so
yay,
that
yay.
was no. Say it. Go ahead.
No. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So that was it for our open mic kickoff Women in Science. It was a great pleasure having Rosario Sanchez as our first guest. Please stay tuned to our next interviews and hope to see you again. Thank you, Rosario.
Thank you, Laura. It's been my pleasure to be here. Thank you for, I just, express myself.
That
It was
was
my therapy for the day. These are therapeutic methods to stress
yes.
out the
So
energy.
everyone interested in doing one of these, please contact me and contact the Binational Forum.
Thank you.
Let's
Gracias.